Hello guys. So after understanding your what is ecology, then insect ecology, environmental components, then some basic classification of environmental factor, today we will start your biotic factor. All of you know biotic factors means all those biotic or living things, those factors which regulate some organisms growth, development, their attributes, their abundance, all those things will be affected by this factor. So let's start this biotic factor without wasting time. So now again in this biotic factor, the major factors are your competition, then comes your natural enemies, and the third one is your food. Some more are there, I will discuss later in an advanced video, but for basic level these three things are sufficient. So before starting these three things, you just understand in a natural environment what happens. All those organisms are living together which influence each other, yes or no, either directly or indirectly. For their growth, reproduction, nutrition, we depend on each other, thereby interacting with each other. Okay, so this interaction again may be broadly divided into two types. Those are intraspecific and interspecific. So what is intraspecific? That means within this species whatever the interaction will be happen, that is within one species only. Suppose Italian honeybees means within Italian honeybees only, not with Indian honeybees. That is your intraspecific. So what is your interspecific? The interaction in between two different species will be called as your interspecific interaction. Understood? Now we will start your first biotic factor, that is the competition. Okay, every organism, every animals, okay, in their whole life cycle, either for a shorter period of time or for their whole life cycle, okay, they need to compete. Now for human being everything is a competition, all of you know. Just like that, in case of animals, small creatures also, they need to compete with each other. It may be like for food, it may be for mating purpose, it may be for their shelter, it may be for their suitable site for oviposition, egg laying, or for their pupation, basically for insect I am telling. Okay, so this competition will be there always. That is the thing. It may be within their species or with other species, but definitely competition will operate. So you just think, suppose two insects are there and some 5 leaves are there. Okay, now what will be the condition? If we compare with that, 5 insects are there and 2 leaves are there, where competition will be more? Where population is more, yes or no? Same amount of food is there. If less population is there, that means what will happen? Automatically competition will be less, because each individual is having sufficient food material. But when food material is constant but we are increasing the population, then automatically what will happen? The probability to each and every individuals will be reduced, and automatically the competition will increase. Okay, so again this competition is again two types, that is intraspecific competition, that means within this species, and interspecific competition, that means in between two different species. Okay, one by one we will cover. First, coming to this intraspecific competition. Okay, already you know intraspecific means only one species will be there. Within this species so many individuals will be there. Among those individuals the competition will operate. Okay, how to define? When members of population of the same species compete for resources. We call it as intra-specific competition. Some 3 examples are here. First one is your cannibalism in American bollworm. In this video you can see, okay, here what is happening. Here these larvae are there. Some are young larvae and some are older larvae. So when shortage of food will be there, at that time what will happen? Those older larvae will feed on another younger larva. Okay, feeding on the same species. This is known as your cannibalism effect. It is exhibiting in American bollworm larva. Understood? This is the first case. Then coming to the second one. Okay, crowding in aphids result in alete or wing form for migration. Suppose on a plant surface aphids are there. If sufficient plant succulent growth is there, then what will happen? Food source will be more, aphid population will be more. But when aphid population will be more, automatically the food source will be reduced. Yes or no? Once the food source will reduce, then what will happen? Some of the older aphid population will be triggered to develop wings very vigorously, very early. They will induce alete form of aphids so that they can migrate to other side, so that here the competition will be reduced. That means crowding in aphids result in alete form for migration. They need to migrate, then only the competition can be removed. Understood? This is the second case. Now coming to the third one, crowding in honeybees leads to swarming. Okay, that means here what will happen? You see, honeybees are the very highly social insect. They have a specific distinct behavior towards each other. In honeybees what will happen? Generally in summer season, due to sufficient availability of flowers, the food source will be more, nectar and pollen will be more. So if nectar and pollen will be more, the queen will lay more eggs within that comb. So here what will happen? Within the specific comb, the comb size is not increasing that much, only the population is increasing. So inside the comb or colony what will happen? This will lead to more competition for their food. So at that time what will happen? Some 1/3 or half population will try to go out, which is technically known as your swarming. Okay, that means due to this crowding of honeybees, which increases competition due to reduced food source, leads to swarming of the colony. This is your third example. All of these things are operating within this species. Here only Helicoverpa, here only aphids, and here only honeybee species, not among these species, only within this species. These are the example. Okay, so this completes your intra-specific competition. Now coming to your inter-specific competition. What is that? Already you know, inter-specific competition means competition occurring between members of two or more different species. Okay, here two different species will compete with each other for some identical requirements. Okay, that means they cannot coexist in a same place for a long period of time. Yes or no? You see, two different animals are there, both are having a identical requirement, identical food source. Then how they will survive with each other? There must what happen? One has to be eliminated or go away from that place so that another can survive. Survival of the fittest will occur. Yes or no? Same thing will occur in case of insect also. Here you see one important term is there, one important principle is there. You have to remember this one. That is your competitive exclusion principle, or which is otherwise called as your Gauss principle. What is that? You see the definition. Try to understand. The elimination of one species by another species is a result of interspecific competition. Here 3-4 terms are there. First is the elimination, second is one species by another species, and the third one is your interspecific competition, not intra. This is interspecific competition. Okay, is known as your what? Competitive exclusion principle or Gauss principle. What do you understand by that? Suppose two different species are there in a specific location. At that time, if they have a similar resource, food source, shelter, or whatever it may be, they have some similar requirement. At that time, what will happen? One has to be eliminated for the survival of the another one. They cannot coexist in the same place. That means one species will be eliminated, one species will be surviving, and that is occurring in between two different species. That is your competitive exclusion principle. That means what is happening here? Exclusion of one species is occurring due to competition with another species. This is the principle given by Gauss. That's why the principle name is Gauss principle. Understood? For example, now coming to the insect. Some red floor beetles are there. Okay, these are the store grain pest. Those genus is same, Tribolium only, but the species is different. One is Tribolium castaneum, another one is your Tribolium confusum. If you grow them in the same jar, okay, then what conditions come here? If the temperature is high, that means more than 29 degrees centigrade, and relative humidity is higher, then what happens? This Tribolium castaneum will eliminate Tribolium confusum. What do you mean by that? That means Tribolium castaneum will survive, Tribolium confusum will die, or they cannot stay at that particular area, they will go away from that place. Understood? Reverse. If temperature is less, below 29 degrees centigrade, and relative humidity is also lower, then what will happen? Tribolium confusum will dominate in that place and Tribolium castaneum will be eliminated. Simply reverse of that condition. This is your example of your interspecific competition, that too competitive exclusion principle or Gauss principle. Understood? So I hope you understood up to this. Then we will go for next slide. Here you see this association. Okay, in interspecific competition you say, or any kind of interaction you say, there must be some association. The association may be your beneficial association or maybe harmful association. That depends on the organisms concerned in those association. So some terminologies are there which are very, very important for exam point of view. So try to understand all those things. So first is your symbiosis. What is symbiosis? Okay. This is the interrelationship. What do you understand by that? Interrelationship. Interrelationship means between two different species. Yes or no? Which live in a close union. That means in a close proximity they are living. But they are having the association without any harmful effect on both. Two species are there living together and they are not showing any kind of harmful effect on each other. This phenomenon is known as your symbiosis, and each member governing this symbiosis are known as symbiont. Understood what is symbiosis? Now coming to mutualism. Okay, first keep it in your mind, mutualism is coming under your symbiosis. Here also the case is same. Here also both are not getting any harm, but both are getting the benefit. Then it will be called as mutualism. Even sometimes symbiosis also regarded as mutualism. Okay, here what will happen? Both the species operating within the association are getting the benefit from each other. That is known as your mutualism. For example, you can tell your ants and aphid. All of you know what is ant and what is aphid. Aphid are the sucking pest and ants are the household pest. So in aphid what happens? They have the characteristics of this secretion of or excretion of honeydew from their abdominal cornicles. Okay. So now, due to the sweeter taste of this honeydew, ants will attract. This form a association in between ants and aphids. So then come to how both are benefiting each other. First point is your how aphid is benefiting ant. How they help the ants. What aphid is doing? They are excreting honeydew. Honeydew is food for the ants and ants are get benefited. First point over. Second one, how ants are helping the aphid. Okay, some beetles are there. Okay, those are the predators. They feed on the aphids. We will discuss what is predator actually, but you just remember for now, some beetles like ladybird beetles are there. They feed on aphids. But if among the aphids these ants will be there, then what this ant will do? They will repel away or ward off those predators from the aphid colony. Automatically aphids will be survived or escaped from those beetles, predatory beetles. Like this, ants are helping the aphids. Understood? This is a very good insect mutualism example. Then comes your bee pollination. That means here the association is in between bees and plant. How bees are helping the plant? They help in pollination. How plants are helping the bees? They help in is the food source. They provide the nectar, they provide the pollen to those bees, which is highly essential for their growth and development. Like this, they have the mutualistic effect. Understood? Now, coming to the second point, here you see commensalism. This is a very, very important short note. Commensalism, definitely it will come in the exams. Okay. So what is commensalism? Commensalism is a phenomenon. Okay. Here what will happen? We are basically dealing with your insect ecology. So I will tell in insect only, in term of insect only. Here what will happen? Here one insect will get benefit. Okay. By what? By living in or on side or above the surface of the insect or inside the insect, another insect. Okay. Without injuring the insect. Suppose A is a insect. A is living either above the surface or inside the insect B, but A is not harming the B insect. This kind of association is known as your commensalism. Getting my point or not? Here what is happening? A is getting benefit and B is unharmed. Anything is not happening to B. And here the A is known as the commensal. Understood? Yes or no? So now the thing is, how A is getting the benefit? The A, what they will do, this insect will either use the surplus food or they will feed on the waste food of its host, or sometimes what they will do, they will just use the host, the other organism, the B species is their mode of transportation. These things are what? The benefits, okay, taken by the A species. Understood? Okay. So now one more term is there, very, very important, that is your foracy. What is foracy? Again, suppose one insect is there and one host is there. Suppose this commensal, this A species is using the B species, its host is the mode of transportation. This is known as your foracy. The phenomenon is known as your foracy. That means, how to define? When the commensal use its host as a means of transport, then it is called as what? Your foracy. Understood? For example, one parasitoid. What is parasitoid? I will tell you later. For now, you just remember one parasitoid, Telenomus beneficens. You can write down one insect, Telenomus beneficens, attach themselves. They will attach to what? Anal tuft of female moth of rice stem borer. Scientific name is Scirpophaga insectivus. Try to remember at least the common name, rice stem borer, for their transport. Okay? And the parasitoid parasitizes the freshly laid eggs. Now, you understand? Here what will happen? The Telenomus, the insect, what they will do? They will attach themselves. Okay? In the moth, the rice stem borer. In that moth, in their anal area, some hair will be there at the end, near the ovipositor site. Okay, there they will attach. At that time, what will happen? They are not harming the moth at that time. While those moths are roaming here and there, they won't affect them. But when the moths will come and lay their eggs on the plant surface, that means what will happen? Those eggs will be laid, and to protect the eggs, they will also cover those eggs with this anal tuft of hairs. But what is happening? This Telenomus, okay, this Telenomus insect is already there in this anal tuft of hair. At that time, after laying eggs, this insect will parasitize on these eggs. During transport, no harm. But after egg laying, they will affect the eggs, but not the adult moth. Understood what is foracy and what is the example? Okay. If any doubt is there, then ask so that I can more clarify that one. Then coming to the amensalism. What is that? An interaction where one of the organism is harmed by the associated unaffected organism. Now you try to remember like this. Okay. In your symbiosis, what is happening here? Neither are getting harmed. So mostly it will be your positive only. Okay. In case of mutualism, what is happening? Same, positive, positive. In case of commensalism, what will happen? Here, one is unaffected, another one is positive. Foracy also coming under your commensalism. Yes or no? Here, what will happen in case of amensalism? One will be harmed, another one will be your unaffected, neutral. This is the condition of amensalism. Like this, you have to remember. Okay, in symbiosis, totally neutral. They are in association, but without any harmful effect. Beneficial effect may or may not be there. If beneficial effect is there, they are called as mutualism. Understood? So what is commensalism? Here what will happen? One will be totally unaffected, one is getting the benefit. Similar in case of foracy, because foracy is coming under commensalism. What is amensalism? One is unaffected, but another one is affected adversely. They are getting harmed. This is your amensalism. Okay, the reverse of commensalism. I hope all of you understood all the terms related with these things, beneficial association. And if any kind of doubt is there, then ask. Now, this is important. Now, beneficial association we already have completed. Now coming to the harmful association. Harmful association means here two species will come together. They will make an association where one will cause harm to the another. One is getting benefit, another one is getting the what? Loss. Okay. Positive, then negative. This is their condition. Okay. So here the example, parasites and parasitoids. What are those things? Now we will understand. Okay. Then coming to the parasite. What is parasite? And what is parasitoid? And what is parasitization? Okay. All those things we will understand in the next biotic factor, that is your natural enemies. So for now you just remember harmful association includes your parasitism. These are the harmful association. You just remember that depending upon the nature of host, these parasites or harmful association are classified as, or the insect are classified as zoophagous, that means they attack the animals; phytophagous, that means they attack the plants; entomophagous means they attack the insect like parasitoids and predator. What are these things? All of those things we'll discuss in the next factor, that is your biotic factor only, but that is your natural enemies. We will cover there everything. Okay, you see here in this we will cover all this predator, parasite, parasitoid, everything we will cover. Okay, then we will go to the third biotic factor, that is your food. So thank you for watching, and if any kind of doubt is there, then kindly ask in the comment box so that we can clarify all those things specifically by making specific individual videos for each and every aspect of those things. So thank you for watching. Have a nice day.